Hey everyone, Ryan here, my new channel, welcome to it. It is Real Talk with Ryan. I went ahead and changed that name for a variety of reasons that I will eventually discuss. If you've seen my post, you know that I needed a new name. So I did just recently get back from vacation across the pond, visiting my best friend Mike from Did You See That, seeing him get married, which was absolutely awesome, and we got to check out Captain America Brave New World, and also I got to check it out with another fellow YouTuber, D Movie Man, and Anthony A. Perez. Now this film, it was directed by Julius Onah, and I've never seen any of his previous works. The film stars Harrison Ford, Anthony Mackie, Tim Blake Nelson, and Danny Ramirez. Now what is this film ultimately about? Well, it's about after meeting with newly elected U.S. President Thaddeus Ross, Sam finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seen red. Now, what did I actually like about this movie? Well, I did like the fact that this film was well choreographed. I felt like a lot of the fight scenes, just the way that they were filmed, there was no shaky cam. I felt like there was no quick cuts. A lot of times in the Marvel films, they got really quick cuts. They don't really let you see the fights actually develop and really evolve. And I actually like the fact that they did a better job of that. This is also a very serious tone film. It's not a jokey film, which I can always really appreciate. I like seeing Anthony Mackie as Sam here. I think he's really great in the blue suit. I really was a big fan of that. And I think overall, this film, how the action kind of unfolds and how the story really unfolds, I was really behind it for most of the movie. Pacing wise, I have heard people say that they didn't really like how they really paced the movie, which to me, I was kind of mixed on. I felt like for the most part, like pacing wasn't too bad. I felt like the story was developing and there was kind of a lot of things really going on. There's a lot of abundance of characters. There's a lot of villains, which definitely is a problem. I will say from an action standpoint, even though I did like the action, I did feel at times that I felt like our hero was never really in danger. I felt very predictable, and I felt like as the film was going along, it just felt like a lot of things were just coming out where you're like, okay, I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And also in the trailer, the Red Hulk was actually revealed, which I think they shouldn't have done that because he's not really in the film all that much, maybe about 10-15 minutes tops. And it's one of those things as the film is developing and you're about, an hour and 50 minutes in, you're like, okay, well, Red Hulk, he's got to be here. He's got to be here. When is he coming? We know he's going to show up at some point. Though I did know going into this film that Red Hulk wasn't going to be in the film all that much. So I wasn't really disappointed by that. There is some extra villains in here, which I don't think were actually needed. You have Samuel Stearns in here, which, to be honest with you, I really didn't like his look. I thought his look was really goofy. It felt like he was like Bill Nye the Science Guy with this crazy makeup that he had going on. He was a smart kind of villain, but at the same time, I felt like there were points where they had him hidden and they had him like on the phone, or they had him doing smart little things behind the scenes. And then when they show him, I was like, oh my gosh, like the reveal of him, I think really hurt the movie. And as he just kept coming on screen, I was like, what are they doing with this guy? Like this guy again, but he's not really doing anything that was really pushing the script forward or making you feel like, oh man, like Sam is in danger and this guy is going to definitely take over and he's going to kill him at some point. I just never really felt that. I did feel like Sam's partner, Falcon, I liked his character, but I felt like he wasn't on screen enough. I felt like he had a presence and he had some humor to kind of go along with the film, even though the film is a lot more obviously very grounded and it's not a jokey film. I did feel like he had very much charisma into the character, but we don't really see him a whole lot, which is definitely a letdown. There's quite a bit of monologues that help explain the story as the film is going along, and that can be a detriment to some, and then other people, maybe they really enjoy it. To me, I'm kind of mixed on it. I don't really think it's necessarily needed in this film, but they decided to include it many times throughout this film. Now, I will say also, too, the green screen isn't the best in this. There are definitely points in here where I was like, oh man, that's green screen looks absolutely awful. And during the fight scene with Sam and the Red Hawk, there's definitely moments in with that. And also when Harrison Ford actually turns into the Red Hawk, yeah, there's definitely some interesting little green screen there. I did feel like at times it did feel a little bit cheap in how they did like the graphics and just the green screen aspect in certain scenes. It wasn't all terrible, but it just felt like at points that it just needed to be sharpened up a little bit. It definitely felt like it was just holding it back just a little bit. I think at this point with Marvel, the fact that this is the second to last movie into phase 5, and then we go into phase 6, and we're supposed to be building up the Avengers and everything into phase 6, I really think they need to have the older directors come back to write some of these movies and direct these movies, because we keep getting all these newer directors. It's not that I'm against that, but the fact that we're going into kind of uncharted territory with Marvel, I feel like we need somebody that really knows what they're doing and knows like how to direct these kind of films and know what direction to really go into. With this film, it feels very safe. It's predictable. It's not terrible by any means, but does it really push the story forward? Does it feel like as this is coming to a close in phase 5, are we really getting closer to the Avengers and the Secret Wars? I feel like we're really not. I feel like we're just kind of steadily going through a bunch of films kind of very quickly, but not really building to anything. And I think that's been the problem for Marvel, is there's just a lot of films that they're making that really aren't building to anything. Like things like Guardians of the Galaxy, people can like for like entertainment, and is it really pushing the story forward? I mean, not really. Same with Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, yeah, that's funny, and there's some characters that came back, you know, that we haven't seen on screen. Like, all that's really cool, but there wasn't really like a great story with that film. And then with this one, it's not really that great of a story either, but there's some cool action moments, there's some cool characters that are thrown on screen, but what are we actually doing to build the future? And I think like that's the main concern that I have going into the future with these films. I really hope that Thunderbolts really does kick that off here, ending phase 5 and then going into phase 6 with Fantastic Four and then other films that are going to be coming later on. I really hope that we really develop it more, because it just feels like right now we're just kind of at a standstill where everything is just kind of mediocre or okay. Some films are really bad, and I feel like with this one there's kind of a mix of reviews. Like some people like it, some people think it's okay. I haven't really heard anybody say like they love this film, but I have heard people say that they really didn't like it either. And I feel like with me, I had really tame expectations going into the film, so I didn't really feel let down by it. But at the same time, I'm not really surprised that it was good enough to really entertain me, but at the same time, it's not a great film or like a top 10 Marvel film that I'll be watching over and over, but I wouldn't mind turning it on. It definitely feels like a very long episode that's tied into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, that's what this film feels like. It feels like a very long episode, but at the same time, it just feels like there's not a lot of payoff, and then the end credit scene doesn't really give a whole lot to really digest into what is going to the future with Marvel itself. So there's a lot of things that I think they really need to clean up if they really want a future with Marvel and really get people interested to really getting sucked back into this universe. Because once you have like the big finale with Endgame, again, we're kind of going on like a bunch of side quests here. There's a lot of like random movies they're throwing at us, but at the same time, we're not building to anything. So they need to really build something with this Thunderbolts movie, Fantastic Four, and other movies moving forward, or we're just going to be stuck in this hamster wheel where we're just watching just really like okay, mediocre to like, I guess like good movies kind of, but nothing like great or phenomenal like the other movies. Like, again, I don't think this movie's bad, but it's just like good but not great. So as far as the score for this film, I would give it a 3 out of 5. I think it's an okay enough film. I enjoyed my time with it. I kind of felt like the score that I gave it is about where I would be with this film, so I guess you could say I wasn't really disappointed. This is what I expected out of Marvel. So I just hope the next film is a lot better and we get more building in character worlds, that kind of thing. So I hope they really improve. But what did you guys think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? Leave any and all comments down below, and also rank all the Captain America films below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.